Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Andy, and this is Before You Call a Contractor. Today we're going to be doing a sheetrock repair. The hole we have to repair today is about a 2x3, but the principle is pretty much the same for any kind of sheetrock repair, depending on how big you go. We start doing maybe full sheets of sheetrock, it gets a little bit more difficult. The tools you need for this are going to be putty knives, some joint compound. And like I said, we're using patches. This is a 4x4 patch. You can get these up to 8x8 inches. Anything bigger than that, you really got to just replace it with sheetrock. The hole we're going to be repairing today is this one here. Now, many years ago when I first started doing sheetrock repair, what I would do is I would put a piece of 1x2 in here, and I'd put a screw there and a screw there to hold it, and then I'd put the piece of sheetrock in there, and then put some joint tape around it, and do it that way. But these days, I like using these patches for a hole this size. Now, let's say you had like just a quarter size hole. You could just take a piece of your sheetrock tape like this, cut it off, and put it over the hole, and just put the joint compound over that, and that would work just fine. The other tools we're going to be using today is going to be an electric sander and a shop vac. Whenever I'm doing sheetrock repairs, I like to use this electric sander in the shop vac to do my sanding because it keeps the dust down. Especially if you're working in somebody's house or even in your own house. I don't want the dust all in my house. And when you start sanding sheetrock, it definitely creates a lot of dust. So let's get going. All right, so first thing we need to do is peel our patch and just center it over the hole. Just like that. And press it down on all the edges. Try to get it to stick as best it can on its own. Okay, next we'll put some joint compound on it. Now I will tell you, it works better if you mix your joint compound up really well before you start. The smoother it is, the better. I'm going to put it on the edges first just to make sure the edges stay down. Now that I have it all the way around, I'm going to switch to the larger putty knife to do it. Put a little bit of compound on it. And just go like this. Now you'll see, I'm going quite a ways past the patch. And the reason being is that patch sits up slightly higher than the sheetrock. So the further out you go, the less likely you are to see the repair. You want to do really thin layers. You don't want to go real thick. And for the purposes of today's video, I'm actually going to speed up the process by using a hairdryer to dry it. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to do this, do not try to dry it right away real fast, because the more heat you put on it, the more likely that compound will crack. So what I do is I put the hairdryer on low, and I'll only wave it over there for about 20 seconds, and then I'll take it off and I'll wait about a minute and I'll come back and do it again. That way you don't dry out your joint compound too fast, because if you dry it too fast, it will definitely crack on you. So I'll demonstrate what I'm going to do. Like I said, I put it on low. And just go over it nice and easy. Okay, that's as much as I like to do at one time. Now, like I said, I'll wait a minute or two and I'll come back and do some more. All right, so it's been a couple of minutes. So I'm going to come back and do some more. Now, I do not recommend using a heat gun on this because the heat gun gets too hot. And again, if you dry this too fast, it's just going to crack on you and crumble. That's why I'm using the blow dryer on low too. But that's it for now. Let's wait a few minutes and do it again. All right, it's been a few minutes. Let's do some more. And you'll notice around the edges where the mud compound is really thin. It is drying already. This is timing and tedious. If it wasn't for the purpose of this video, I would actually just let this sit and come back and sand it tomorrow. But I'm going to keep going. All right, guys. So I've been going back and forth with this for about 2.5 hours with the hairdryer. And you look a little closer. You can see I did actually get some cracks trying to dry it real too fast, but it'll be okay. But for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a light sanding and then put another coat on it, and I'm going to let it sit till tomorrow so it'll dry properly. So this is what I use. I use a orbital sander with an attachment to connect it to my shop vac. Now, you do not need a shop vac that big. That's just the one I have. And I run the shop vac. It does this. When you do this, I'm using 150 grit paper, and always make sure your holes in your paper line up with your holes in your sander. That way it'll pick up the sheetrock dust. And always make sure that your hose is attached real well to your sander, or you'll see, like it did with me, it popped right off. So as you can see, it did not take much sanding at all. What I sanded for about maybe 15 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and put another coat of sheetrock compound on this, and then I'll wait till tomorrow to sand it again. I find that it takes about 3 coats to get it nice and smooth. That's just me. Somebody might ask why I'm not using the quick drying compound and the powder stuff you can mix. I have used it before and have not had great luck with it. I find that it dries so hard, it gets really hard to sand. So I don't use it, but you could try to use that if you had a job you absolutely had to get done in a shorter period of time. But that's it for now. I'm going to let that sit and dry, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day, and as you can see, our drywall compound is good and dry. We just need to do another light sanding, and then we'll put another coat on after that. So that actually looks pretty good, but if you look real close, you can see we got a little bit of mesh showing through right there. And it's a little bit raised up from right here. So one more coat just to bring up the outsides and just cover that right there. We should be good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let that sit again overnight, and we'll finish it up tomorrow. All right, guys, so here we are, day 3 of our sheetrock reparatives. As you can see, we've got a good dry patch. I've been using a sander and a vacuum to do this, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You can do this by hand, and you can use a sanding block like this one. This says fine, which it feels to me like it's about 150 grit. Or if you had sandpaper, you just wrap sandpaper around a little piece of wood and use that. So I'm going to finish this using this rather than using the vacuum and the sander. Sorry about that. My dog interrupted the video because he wanted dinner, so I had to take care of that. So as you can see, that's done. That's ready for paint. We just got a little bit of sheetrock dust on the floor to clean up. Not a big deal. So don't be afraid to tackle those sheetrock jobs yourself. It's not that hard to do once you do one or two. So give it a shot, all right? Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye.